On the morning of November 20th, 2023, Raisa Rusnak's life changed forever. Four masked men came to her home.
Masked men.
Yes, looking for her son Rizlan, who was 28. They threw him down right there and started beating him.
God, how awful.
The last thing she ever heard him say was, "Guys, what have I done to you? What do you want from me?"
Just unimaginable.
8 days later, she was identifying his body at the morgue.
It's a truly harrowing story. And sadly, as we'll discuss, it's not an isolated case. It's part of a much bigger, grimmer picture in occupied Ukraine.
Exactly. That story, as stark as it is, really sets the stage for what we need to unpack today. We're going to take a deep dive into what looks like a systemic campaign of terror. It's being carried out by Russian forces in the occupied parts of Ukraine's Kherson Oblast.
And we're focusing specifically on one town, Hornostaivka.
Right. A town whose name for, far too many people now is linked with this kind of suffering, with fear, with disappearances.
Our understanding for this deep dive comes primarily from a really detailed investigation. It's titled Investigation. Russians Carry Out Systemic Terror in Occupied Part of Kherson Oblast.
Yeah.
Written by Danilo Makrik.
And we also have corroborating details from another source, Shadows Across the River. So we have some solid groundwork.
Definitely.
So our mission today really is to try and understand the reality of life under this occupation. We'll do that by looking at personal stories, the methods being used, which seem quite systematic, and also the huge challenges people face just trying to get justice or even just escape.
That's a tough subject, no doubt.
Huh.
But an important one to grasp.
Absolutely. So let's begin. Hornostaivka. Why this town? What makes it the focus?
Well, it's not just any town. Before the war, it had about 6,500 people. It's located right on the Dnieper River's east bank in Kherson Oblast,
Right.
which is strategically important.
And it's been occupied since early on, right? April 2022.
That's right, since April 2022. And it seems to have become, a real epicenter for this terror campaign we're talking about.
An epicenter implies a central point, right? A hub.
Precisely. The sources, they point very clearly to one building. The old Ukrainian police station on Torhova Street.
The former police station.
Yeah, it's been taken over by the Russian occupation police and, according to the investigation, turned into a torture chamber.
A torture chamber. And not just for locals.
No. People brought there from Hornostaivka itself, but also from nearby villages and towns, Kari, Kakovka, Novokakovka. It's become this central hub of abuse.
And the scale. The investigation mentions hundreds of people might have gone through there.
Hundreds. That's the estimate. And what's deeply disturbing is how many people simply disappeared after being taken to that building.
Yeah.
Vanished without a trace.
The fear must be just palpable, constant.
It's hard to even imagine. And while, numbers give us some scale, it's the individual stories that really bring home the human cost. Let's go back to Rizlan Rusnak, the young man we started with.
Yes. His story seems to cover so many aspects of this. His mother, Raisa, she was told officially he died from internal bleeding, a stomach ulcer.
Yeah, during interrogation at that Torhova Street station, that was the official line.
But Raziza doesn't believe it for a second. She's convinced he was tortured to death. She describes seeing his body, his eyes open, teeth showing. She said he must have died in such torment.
It's a horrifying image. And her certainty, based on what she saw, it tells you everything about the reality versus the official story.
And the death certificate adds another layer of, cruelty, doesn't it? Saying he died the day he was detained.
Right. A whole week before they even told his mother. It's like they're trying to sanitize the timeline, erase the suffering.
And there's more to his story too, isn't there? He'd tried to leave before.
He had. The source mentions he tried to leave occupied territory back in 2022. But because he was a former Ukrainian service member, they denied him exit.
So he was trapped and then targeted. It highlights a pattern.
Definitely. And then you have cases like Oleksandr Slisarenko. He was a local businessman, a volunteer.
The one who stayed behind to help the grannies.
That's him. His wife, Lyudmila, she's in Poland now. She described how on August 3rd, 2022, Russian occupiers just surrounded their house.
What happened to him?
They tied his hands, forced him to his knees, beat him severely right there in front of people, then threw him in a minibus, bag over his head.
And he hasn't been heard from since.
No. The trail just goes cold. He's one of the disappeared.
It's heartbreaking. And these aren't isolated cases, you're saying?
Sadly, no. There's Volodymyr Ruchka, a driver, taken to Torhova Street simply for saying something they didn't like.
Just for speaking his mind.
Apparently. He was beaten, then released. He died the next day.
Just died from the beating.
Seems so.
Yeah.
And then Serhiy Klopat, A similar story from summer 2023. Grabbed right from the market, shoved into a minibus.
What happened to him?
2 days later, they just dumped him in his yard. Neighbors found him, tried to help, but he died 2 days after that. The beating was too severe.
So, death from beatings, people disappearing entirely.
Yes, and Ruslan Rusnaka wasn't the only one taken that November in 2023. The sources mention others held at the same station around that time, brothers Ivan and Anton Stepa, Denis Shum. Their fates still unknown.
Just gone. It creates this pervasive atmosphere of fear where anyone could be next.
Exactly. Which brings us to the question, who are they targeting?
Yeah.
And why? What's the motive behind this brutality?
Well, initially it seemed like maybe former Ukrainian soldiers, weapon owners.
Yeah.
That fits a certain occupation logic, however twisted.
Right, that was the initial focus. But it broadened very quickly. It shifted, from just targeting potential threats to targeting, well, anyone showing a pro-Ukrainian position.
Any sign of dissent, basically.
Any sign at all. There's this chilling example in the source. A woman from Kerry Village, she was apparently a little drunk, and said, "Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes," in a shop. Soldiers took her away immediately. She went missing.
Just for saying that phrase, it shows they want to crush not just resistance, but even the spirit, the identity.
Precisely. And it wasn't just about politics or past service. There were clear economic motives, too.
Ah, so taking property, businesses.
Yes. Business owners were frequently detained, sometimes for ransom, sometimes just to seize their assets. We heard about Hennady Krishnanovsky. He was an entrepreneur.
What happened to him?
He was held, forced to sign papers, transferring his cars over for Russia's, quote, special military operation.
Forced donation, basically. Theft.
Essentially.
Yeah.
And Pastor Alexander Moltsev from the Baptist Church, same thing. Detained for over 2 weeks, forced to give up his 2 cars.
So it's control, suppression, and exploitation.
It seems to be a multi-pronged strategy. It's about establishing absolute dominance. Like one witness said, this really sticks with you, they tortured them like that because they, Russians, wanted to show us that they were the masters and we were the simple people who must obey them.
Pure power dynamics, and they used extreme methods to enforce that.
Yes, the sources mention methods like electrocution being used. It wasn't just beatings, it was calculated torture to break people and intimidate everyone else.
Despite all this, the investigation did manage to identify some names. How?
It's interesting. An anonymous Russian Telegram channel actually reported back in February 2024 that Russian law enforcement was prosecuting 5 police officers.
Prosecuting their own. For what?
For abuse of office, specifically linked to Ruslan Rusnak's death. The report even gave names and initials.
Wow. Okay, so maybe some accountability. Who were they?
Well, one name that stands out is Andrei Poleshchikov. He was identified as the head of the Russian police department there in Hornostaivka when Ruslan died.
The man in charge.
Yes. And here's the disturbing part. This same Poleshchikov appeared in a Russian propaganda video in August 2023.
Doing what?
Claiming, and I quote, "Citizens are happy to cooperate with the police because they see us as a helping hand."
The hypocrisy is just staggering.
Yeah.
A helping hand,
Well,
while overseeing a torture chamber.
it's hard to reconcile. Then there's another figure, Volodymyr Plyukin,
Who's he?
a former Ukrainian police officer from Zaporizhia Oblast. He defected, joined the Russians. Residents in Hornostaivka recognized him
Recognized him how?
as the Vladimir who actually threatened one woman, saying she could end up like Serhiy Klopot, the man beaten to death. Another witness saw Plyukin guarding prisoners at the Torhova Street station.
So a collaborator directly involved in the system.
It appears so. Someone who knew the area, knew the people, perhaps.
But what happened with that abuse of office case? Did anything come of it?
This is where the idea of justice just completely falls apart. Poleshchikov himself, the police chief, confirmed in a phone call recorded by the investigators
Confirmed what?
that the case against him and the others, opened in February 2024, was suspended and would likely be terminated altogether.
Terminated. Why? On what grounds?
His justification was shocking. He said that he and the other officers involved had signed military contracts, gone to fight in the special military operation, and gotten injured.
Wait, so they commit alleged abuses, potentially torture someone to death, then join the army, get injured, and that clears them.
That seems to be the mechanism. It's a way to effectively wash their hands of it, to gain impunity through military service. It's cynical, really.
So any semblance of accountability is just gone.
Pretty much. As Raisa Rusnak, Ruslan's mother, said when she heard about this so-called investigation, "I think it was just a pretense, that's all."
A pretense. That sums it up, doesn't it? It highlights the absolute lack of real justice within the occupied system.
No true accountability whatsoever.
And the impact of all this, it must be devastating, long-lasting, especially for those who try to leave. But escaping itself is incredibly hard, right?
Extremely difficult. We already mentioned Ruslan Rusnak being denied exit back in 2022 because he'd served in the Ukrainian military.
Right, and Hennady Khrushchevsky, the businessman whose cars were taken.
He only managed to get out on his second try in July 2024. It often takes multiple attempts if it's possible at all.
And the journey itself can be terrifying.
Absolutely. Take Olha, the one from Kerry Village. She did manage to leave with her family. But at the border crossing, Russians beat her husband.
Beat him at the border.
Yes, and they threatened Olha herself with sexual violence. So even the act of escaping carries immense risk and trauma.
So the danger doesn't just stop once you decide to leave. The psychological scars must run incredibly deep for those who make it out.
Oh, undoubtedly. Think of Lyudmila Slisarenko, whose husband Oleksandr vanished. She's safe in Poland, but she constantly thinks about him, says she wishes he could see his grandson grow up. The uncertainty is a form of torture itself.
And Ryza Rusnak, the mother we began with, what's become of her?
Her story is just heartbreaking. She lost her son, her home. Any hope for justice seems gone. The source says she suffers from terrible nightmares, cries out at night, reliving her son's likely death, and constantly fears for her other children. The trauma is ongoing.
It's relentless, and this leads to the challenge for actual justice from the Ukrainian side. What can they even do?
It's incredibly difficult. Ukrainian law enforcement, obviously, they can't just walk into occupied territory. They can't access crime scenes like the Torhova Street station.
No access to physical evidence, no bodies for proper forensic examination.
Exactly. And witnesses. Even those who escape are often terrified to speak out formally. They still have family back in the occupied areas.
Fear of retaliation against loved ones. It's a cruel catch-22.
It really is. It makes documenting these war crimes, building legal cases, extremely challenging right now.
So when we pull all this together, what's the core insight from this deep dive into Harnastavka?
I think it's clear this isn't about isolated incidents or rogue actors. What the evidence points to is a systemic, calculated campaign of terror.
Designed to do what?
To control the civilian population through fear, through violence, through disappearances, through seizing property. And crucially, it operates with this veneer of impunity. The perpetrators face little to no real consequence.
A system of fear and control with built-in escape hatches for those responsible?
That's a good way to put it. And, we have to acknowledge the incredible courage of the people who shared these stories, dozens of them.
Despite the immense risks they faced, and still face, perhaps, for relatives left behind.
Yes. Right now, their testimonies, these personal accounts, they're often the only way we can learn about what's truly happening. They're giving voice to unspeakable atrocities.
It's vital work. So, considering everything we've discussed, the harrowing stories, the deliberate system of terror, the impunity, it leaves us with a heavy question, doesn't it?
It does.
What does it truly mean for people, for whole communities, to try and endure or even just survive when their basic human rights are being systematically dismantled like this? And looking outward, what responsibility do we, the wider world, have in acknowledging this suffering, especially when the only proof comes from those who've risked everything to bear witness?